Welcome back to the Erin podcast, where we dive deep into topics that inspire transformation, authenticity, and a deeper connection with yourself. I am Erin, your guide on this journey, and today we're talking about aligning ourselves with purpose and meaning in our work and in our lives in general. It's a question I've heard countless times from so many high-performing coaching clients and hundreds of participants in my Authentically You cohort. The question of what is it I am here to do and what do I uniquely have to offer the world? These are big, meaningful questions that are very deep. And I'm excited to share my perspectives, ideas, reflections, and some exercises to help you uncover your answers. So, to start with a bit of my own story and help frame this up, for me, the questioning around purpose and meaning in my life began in my mid 30s. I was working in a role that had started to feel really monotonous. It was like every day was Groundhog's Day. And it started to dawn on me that much of my life was spent in this routine, this daily routine that did not light me up in the slightest bit. You know, that rinse and repeat routine or that hamster wheel that we live on, that proverbial treadmill where we perform our day to day almost like robots. For me, the routine at that time was wake up, get ready, rush out the door, work all day, rush to get home, take care of my kids, have some dinner, clean up, and then do something mind numbing to just allow my mind to relax because I had no energy left in it and I had nothing left in the tank. Then just go to sleep and do it all over again. So at the time, I could not see any alternative. It was just, that's my life. And what do I do about it? I wasn't really ready to step into something entirely new. And I didn't even know what that would be. And as much as it could have been easy to blame it on the work, it was really around my own mindset and my own approach to work and life at the time that made it feel so monotonous. The thought of potentially changing jobs or finding a new gig really felt so vast and unattainable because the mindset that I was in at the time was heavy. And I had been neglecting my own deeper needs. A big decision I made so that I could start to make progress in some way, shape, or form was to explore how I could bring more of myself into the work that I was already doing. If I couldn't change the work, I could change my approach to it. And this meant asking myself, how can I approach my work differently? How can I make it simpler, more meaningful, and aligned with my values? Can I find better ways to do things that felt good to me and maybe even highlighted my strengths in new ways? What I discovered was that what I really wanted was to show up more fully as who I really am. I had been holding back parts of me, and that did not feel good. That did not feel aligned with my values. When I was sharing my thoughts and chiming in where I felt necessary, rather than just keeping quiet to not rock the boat, I felt more authentic and more seen. This was a conscious and intentional choice, not always easy, but I was pushing myself out of my comfort zone repeatedly and conjuring up the courage within myself that it took to be more open and more real. In time, everything did start to feel different. My work, my relationships, and even how I experienced each day within myself were starting to change. They were starting to be more positive and transform for the better. So when people share with me the friction they feel between their work and their sense of purpose, there are a few things that I suggest incorporating to start to create a sense of purpose and alignment. First, ask yourself where you may not be showing up authentically in your job. Are there relationships at work where you hold back? Are you doing things the way that they've always been done just because that's how they've always been done? Are you avoiding conversations or roles that might better align with your values and your strengths and just not saying anything because you don't want to create any points of contention in the workplace? My suggestion is start small. Begin by opening up in conversations or approaching tasks in a way that feels more true to who you are, and then see how that is perceived and accepted or not. I know it can feel risky. I've been there. Doing things differently sometimes ruffles feathers. I know I often did, and I'm pretty positive people talk smack behind my back, but I didn't let that deter me from staying true to myself. I am a big fan of don't ask for permission, beg for forgiveness later if it's necessary. More often than not, people don't resist as much as we imagine they will. And when you operate from a place of integrity, you inspire others without even realizing it. The next thing would be define your core values. And I'm not talking about some corporate jargon that sits on a website and sounds pretty. That's so cliche. I'm talking about you with you, the you in your heart that knows that when you feel you are at your best and you are lit up, that is what alignment is for you. What are those values that when your external world aligns with them, you just know in your gut that you're onto something? You just know in your gut that it's right. Your core values act as a compass for how you approach work and life. Take time to identify just 3 or 4 of these that matter most to you, whether it's creativity, integrity, service, growth, authenticity, or something else. Identify those and then ask yourself, how can I bring these into my current role? What are the small shifts that I can make in my daily work in order to align more closely with my values? The third thing I suggest doing is to reframe purpose as an ongoing journey, not something that is arrived at. Purpose is not a single destination. It is an evolving journey. Instead of waiting to discover some grand singular purpose, focus on how you can infuse purpose into your work today and now. The more that we embrace the fact we change constantly as human beings, the more we welcome in the wisdom of our purpose also changing throughout our lifetime as well. And then it doesn't have to feel like something so grandiose and catastrophic to arrive at. It's something that we can just pick and choose each day where we are aligning with purpose in daily moments. The reframing can remove the pressure of really needing to find your purpose and instead empower you to create purpose every day through just more conscious choices. And lastly, sometimes we overlook the larger impact of the work we do because we are focused on the immediate tasks at hand. Take a moment to step back and think about the ripple effect of what you do. Ask yourself, how does my work benefit others, even indirectly? What is one way that I can amplify the positive impact of my role? For example, if you're in a support role, consider how your efforts enable others to succeed. Or if your job involves creating or innovating, think about how your contributions improve the lives of clients or your colleagues. Recognizing the broader impact of your work can rekindle a sense of purpose and meaning and even motivation in your day-to-day life. Give yourself credit and appreciation for your contributions and the value you bring to your work. And these relationships that you're building with your team and your clients all benefit from that value that you bring. So be sure to recognize yourself for that. I've also found as I've gotten older and more experienced in my career that my sense of creativity sometimes historically would fall by the wayside. And that would happen mostly when I did feel super monotonous in my day to day. While I once loved to write and free write in my journal, and I did that for years, I had then solely started to write for business and communication and let go of writing for personal reasons. Once I got that back, it really helped me develop more of a sense of meaning in myself. So be sure to carve out time where you are nurturing your own creativity and breathing life into your creative self to make sure that you stay connected with this part of you. One of my all-time favorite exercises to help people more deeply connect with a sense of meaning within themselves and bring your creativity to life is to reflect on what you loved doing as a child. Spend 10 to 15 minutes every couple of days over the next few weeks journaling on this one thought. What did I love doing when I was young? Think about this from ages 5 to about 12. What were those things that really made time fly and made you feel like time was not a thing? What really lit you up back then? For me, when I did this exercise years ago, there were two things that really, really stood out. And to this day, I can pinpoint exactly the work that I do now in the world and how it aligns so much with what I loved as a kid. For me, the two things that stood out were, number one, I loved to play school, but only if I could be the teacher. The love of teaching and guiding others now in my life shows up so much in my work as a coach and a facilitator and a guide and an intuitive being. But isn't that interesting how I always loved playing teacher in school? And now this is what I do for a living. The second thing that I had pinpointed at that point is that I always was so fascinated by the universe and the stars. As a kid, I would check out books about the stars and even pursued aerospace engineering at one point when I first started college. While I didn't stick with that career path, my fascination with the cosmos has deeply informed my spiritual growth and personal development over the last decade. So take time to reflect on how your childhood interests connect to what excites you now. What parallels do you see? How might you bring more of that passion into your work today, even if it's just being more creative in your personal life or in your work life? Through these reflections, I have found my North Star to nurture and nourish myself with compassion, love, and kindness, knowing full well that every single day, how I treat the world and how the world perceives and receives me is a reflection of how I treat me. This kind of alignment isn't about just finding a job you love. It's about becoming so true to you that your work, relationships, and daily life naturally reflect your truth. When you align in this way, something amazing happens. You inspire others to do the same. You plant seeds of growth and possibilities in the people around you. And over time, your unique way of being unlocks opportunities and connections that you never could have predicted. So, as you reflect on your purpose, remember it's not about radically overhauling your life overnight. It's about small intentional steps that bring you closer to your true self. Start by being more true to you in your work. Experiment with doing things your way and take the time to rediscover what lights you up. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. Please share your reflections, leave a review, or drop me a note at erincoop.com. You can also join my email list where you'll receive more wisdom, tools, and insights 2 to 3 times a month, and you can grab your free guide to mastering your mindset. I'm also excited to bring you along the personal experience of writing and publishing my book, which is due out in early September. There is so much more to come, and thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, the meaning you seek, the answers you yearn for, they often lie within. I encourage you to follow me at erincoop.com or authenticallyec on Instagram. Subscribe now so you don't miss a step of our journey together. Until next time, manifest great things.